Hi, I have a friend whose uncle used to take him to small US towns where they had horse races on which he could gamble. Now, the odds quoted by race organizers for each horse are based on the horse's chances, as perceived by the public. Good horses attract more betting, so the higher the demand, the higher the quoted odds, which is basically the bet's price. And of course, as demand changes, so do the odds. As a result, a popular horse earns less for the gambler if it wins, more for the house if it loses, just like stocks. Now, why did my friend's uncle go to small town races to bet? Why not stay in the big leagues? Because in smaller towns, the gambling is not heavy. So placing heavier than normal bets on weaker horses skews the odds, which makes the good horses bet cheaper. And why would the uncle do that? Because a minute before the race started and all betting stopped, the uncle would bet even more heavily on the strongest horse, who was now cheaper by relationship. So when that one won, he often cleaned out the betting organizers. However, he then had to leave town fast so the local connected guys wouldn't break his legs. He just took their money. Now, why am I telling you all this story? Because it is possible that some of the odds quoted today for the US election may present a similar opportunity, since they may not be the true odds. Now mind, I'm not saying they are, I'm just saying maybe. But why aren't they the real odds? Who would have an interest in doing this? Well, if someone rich would like to present an over-optimistic picture of the chance of a candidate, then betting heavily on him to win online would be a cheap way to skew the quoted odds, because just like small town horse races, betting on the election by gambling online is usually a small money affair. Now, where can one bet on the election results? Online? There are a number of gambling sites on the internet, and a few are even legal. For example, Iowa Futures is run by University of Iowa as a research site, and so it's permitted to take small bets. And there are other sites too. I already told you before how I bet on the US elections in 2016. At the time, Iowa Futures quoted Hillary Clinton to win at 80 cents, Donald Trump to win at 16 cents. A win would pay you $1. A loss meant your money was gone. So, if you thought Hillary would win and you bet on her, if she won, your 80 cents would grow to $1 in 3 weeks, or a 25% return. But if you had bet on the Donald, your 16 cents would grow to $1 or 500% return in 3 weeks. Why such a handsome return? Because at the time, Trump was seen as a long shot, the laggard horse, so to speak. Yet, because I was fairly sure he would win, I bet on him. I already told you about this in a video, which you can look at again. In some, it was both due to a one variable model and a bit of physical sleuthing on my part. So why am I mentioning all this now? Because I think it's quite likely the public odds now given for Trump versus Biden are skewed, even more than 4 years ago. But unlike 2016, when it was caused mostly by wishful thinking of pollsters, today there's also the probability that some hidden money bags, maybe, are betting meaningful amounts online to create a feeling of momentum on Biden's side. Maybe. Again, I'm not saying this is happening, only that based on the between my own forecasting model, my sleuthing, and the online betting odds, this is at least a possibility. But before we continue, let me assure you I have no preference in the US election, nor am I active politically. I am a retired Canadian, so for me the US is a foreign country, just like Mexico, Zanzibar, or Argentina. I only analyze its election with regard to placing a correct bet, not as a reflection of who would be most suitable, in my opinion, for the president. Indeed, if I had my druthers, I'd rather Colin Powell was running for president. I liked him best. But as I said, sleuthing is not wishful thinking. It is a cold calculation of odds so as to place a winning bet. So back to the odds. In 2016, my bet on Trump made 6 times my money in 3 weeks, on top of 4 lunch bets that added an inch to my waistline. What are the betting odds today? Well, take one site as an example, gambleonline.com. Placing a $100 bet on Trump to win will pay out $300 for a ratio of 1 to 3 or a gain of 200%. On the other hand, betting $100 on Biden will pay out 136 or a gain of 36%. As you can see, the public is pretty sure Biden will win. But is this what the public really thinks? Or do the odds get some support from hidden market makers who, like brokers before an IPO, are skewing the price? Just like my friend's uncle did to small-town horse races. I cannot tell. But if the public odds are indeed wrong, and Trump does win, one can earn a handsome profit of 200% in 3 weeks based on the skewed betting price. If, of course, it is skewed, and if, of course, Trump wins. If. But will he? Again, I cannot be sure. However, for what it's worth, I think it is likely. Here are my 3 main reasons for thinking Trump would win in 2020, just as he did in 2016. First, the only model that forecasted every US election correctly since 1912 is saying Trump will win. That's Professor Norpeth's famous model, whose only factor is the enthusiasm for the candidate by his or her party. A simple model that works. The model forecasted Trump win in 2016, just as it had called every election correctly since 1912. The only election it missed was the one in 1960, where JFK, Kennedy, stole the election from Richard Nixon with the help of mobster Sam Giancana, who got dead citizens in Chicago to vote, some of them even twice. Second reason, insiders who know best are already distancing themselves. As I had mentioned before, 4 years ago, I talked to New York money raisers for Hillary, who told me that people were already canceling their commitment 1 week before the elections. They knew already she had little chance, while the pollsters were still officially optimistic. Today, I didn't even have to call too many people before I learned that Willie Brown, San Francisco former mayor, and Kamala Harris' former boyfriend advised her publicly to refuse Biden's VP position. Pro forma, he said she should hold off for the Attorney General position, which is more powerful. But this was most likely because they knew Biden would lose. The third reasons, the poll who were wrong then, in 2016, all say today that Biden will win. However, the half a dozen pollsters that were accurate in 2016 all say today that Trump will win, with between 272 and 310 electoral votes. That is a very comfortable win. What's the one factor that the accurate pollsters consider that the wrong ones haven't and still don't? In a word, the fear of Trump supporters who are scared to admit they will vote for him because they can be fired, attacked, or ostracized. How big is this factor? In 2016, full 50% of Trump supporters later said they were afraid to say it. The figure today is estimated at close to 75%. So today's poll that rely on phone responses of voters are likely inaccurate, to say the least. What of written polls? Those I have seen seem unconsciously biased. Biased how? Well, I saw a questionnaire of one such poll, and it had 90 questions. 90! Who has time today to answer 90 questions? Only those who stay at home to work with Zoom and Twitter, that is, work cleanly, then buy online food cooked by common folks earning hourly wage, then delivered by Fedora or Uber Eats, whose drivers make even less. Such common folks, many of whom are Trump supporters, who hate the stay-at-homes, have no time to fill polls. So long polls present a highly inaccurate picture at best, since the sample skews harder to richer voters. In sum, it seems to me quite likely that Trump will win again, so an online bet on him would be again very profitable. Of course, if Trump loses, the bet would lose. You pays your money, you take your chances. One last time though, remember, I have no preference for a winner. I'm only trying to construct a winning bet. If my own sleuthing and the Norpeth model favored Biden, I would happily bet that way. But the numbers are the numbers. And of course, as usual, I make no recommendations, and naturally, I don't recommend betting. All the above is given only as an example of how to develop an opinion contrary to everyone else's, then bet on it profitably. That's all for today. Let me know in the comment below what you think of the above. Subscribe to the channel. Tell all your friends so they're subscribed too. I'll see you next time. And meantime, thank you very much for watching.